Cheating stories. Her ex's text destroyed her marriage. I didn't mean to ruin my marriage, but one text at 11 p.m. from my ex made me forget who I was. His words lit a spark I couldn't douse, and now I'm drowning in the ashes of my cheating story. If this tale of regret grips your heart, like, comment, and subscribe to Viora for more stories that bear the soul. I'm Lily Harrington, 32, married to Caleb Jensen, the man who made my world feel safe. We live in a charming craftsman home in Portland, Oregon. Our life a tapestry of quiet joys. Caleb, 35, runs a boutique investment firm, Harbor Point Capital. Not flashy, but successful enough to keep us comfortable mid-seven figures, he once told me with a shy grin. He's steady kind, the kind of man who leaves notes on my pillow and brews my coffee just right. I run a small event planning business, turning birthdays and galas into magic. Our evenings were spent on the couch, his arm around me, our dog Finn snoring at our feet. We dreamed of a family. A cabin by the coast, a future painted in laughter. I thought I was happy. I was wrong. 4 months ago, a crack formed in my perfect life. Caleb's firm was thriving, but he was buried in work, late nights, client dinners, spreadsheets that never ended. I'd wait up the house too quiet, my wine glass, my only company. I didn't resent him, not really, but loneliness is a sneaky thief. It steals your clarity, makes you crave something, someone to fill the void. That's when Bradley Morton slid back into my life. Bradley was my college boyfriend, all charisma and reckless dreams. We'd parted ways amicably, or so I thought, until his text lit up my phone one rainy night. Caleb was dozing on the couch, a documentary flickering on the TV, when my screen glowed asterisk. Hey, Lily, been thinking about you, miss our late night talks, asterisk. My heart stuttered, memories flooding back, stolen kisses in dorm hallways. His laugh under starlit skies. I should have deleted it, I didn't. I typed back asterisk, wow, blast from the past. How's life, asterisk? It was innocent, I told myself, just catching up, but cheating stories don't start with grand betrayals. They start with moments like that. The texts grew frequent, playful at first, then bold Bradley's words were a drug. You're still as beautiful as I remember. Bet you're breaking hearts, asterisk. I'd blush, my fingers hovering, knowing I was crossing a line. Caleb was oblivious, his trust absolute. He'd kiss my forehead, murmuring love you while I hid my phone. My guilt, a quiet pulse. Bradley's flattery filled the gaps, Caleb's absence left, and I let it. I'd read cheating stories on Reddit, shaking my head at the fools who risked everything. I never thought I'd be one. The first twist came after a fight with Caleb. It was petty dishes left in the sink, his distraction during dinner. You're never here, even when you're home, I snapped. He sighed, rubbing his temples. I'm trying, Lily. The firm's killing me. I stormed out, needing air, and texted Bradley asterisk. Need a drink, you free, asterisk. His reply was instant asterisk. Meet me at the Rusty Anchor, 8 p.m, asterisk. I went, my heart racing, telling myself it was just a drink. But when I saw him tall, confident, his smile pulling me back a decade, I knew I was in trouble. That night we talked for hours, the bar's dim lights blurring my judgment. His hand brushed mine and I didn't pull away. You deserve to feel alive, Lily, he said, his voice low. I laughed, tipsy, flattered, and let him drive me home. At my doorstep he kissed me soft but searing, and I kissed him back. Guilt hit like a wave, but I drowned it. This doesn't mean anything, I whispered. He smirked. Whatever you say. I slipped inside Caleb asleep upstairs, my lips still tingling with Bradley's touch. The affair escalated, a secret life I couldn't stop. Texts turned flirty, then reckless. Can't stop thinking about you in that dress, asterisk. I'd meet Bradley at his apartment. A sleek loft funded by his tech startup job, telling Caleb I had client events. Each lie was easier. My guilt numbed by Bradley's attention. I'd come home. Caleb's steady presence a contrast to Bradley's fire, and hate myself. I wasn't this woman, was I? But the thrill of being wanted, of feeling young, kept me tethered to Bradley. The second curveball hit 3 weeks later. Caleb's firm landed a major client, easing his stress. He planned a surprise date night, cooking my favorite pasta candles flickering. I smiled, but my phone buzzed in my purse. Bradley asterisk, miss you tonight. Come over asterisk. I ignored it, but my fingers twitched my mind half with him. Caleb noticed his eyes narrowing. "You okay, babe?" I nodded too quickly, just tired. He let it go, but the warmth in his gaze felt like a judgment I didn't deserve. Nora, my best friend, was the next crack. She cornered me at a coffee shop, her eyes sharp. "You're different, Lily distant, what's going on?" I laughed it off, but her stare cut through me. "Caleb's worried. He asked me if you're stressed about work." My stomach dropped. Caleb was noticing, questioning. I doubled down, deleting texts, locking my phone, but the lies were a house of cards, trembling. The third twist came on a quiet Sunday. Caleb was at the office and I was at Bradley's, tangled in his sheets, my guilt a distant hum. My phone pinged a client, I thought, but it was Caleb asterisk. "Hey, grabbed your laptop for a presentation password." "Still our anniversary asterisk," panic surged. My laptop had emails to Bradley, photos, proof I couldn't hide. I texted back, asterisk, "Wait, I'll come get it, asterisk," but he didn't reply. I raced home, my heart pounding. Bradley's laugh still in my ears. Caleb was in the living room, my laptop open, his face unreadable. "Lily," he said, his voice low. "Who's Bradley?" My mouth went dry, my lies crumbling. A photo was on the screen, me and Bradley at a bar, his arm around me, sent in an email I'd forgotten to delete. I stammered, "It's not what you think," but his eyes, cold as steel, stopped me. "Don't," he said, standing. "I trusted you." He walked out, taking my laptop, my phone, my world. I stood frozen. The house silent except for the rain outside. I'd read cheating stories, but living one was a knife-sharp, unrelenting. Caleb broken us for a man who'd never truly cared. What had I done? The rain didn't let up a relentless drum against the windows as Caleb's footsteps faded into the night. He'd walked out with my laptop, my phone, and the truth I'd tried to bury. The photo of Bradley and me. His arm around my waist burned in my mind, a snapshot of my betrayal. I sank to the floor, my hands trembling, the silence of our home louder than any scream. This wasn't just a cheating story, it was my life unraveling thread by thread, and I had no one to blame but myself. I'd traded Caleb's love for Bradley's fleeting thrill, and now I was alone staring at the wreckage of my choices. I didn't sleep. My eyes burned, replaying Caleb's face, not angry but hollow, like I'd carved out his soul. I tried calling him, but his phone was off. Texts bounced back undelivered. I paced our living room, Finn's soft whines, the only sound besides the storm. My mind raced for excuses. It was a mistake, Caleb, I was lonely, but lies wouldn't fix this. The truth was uglier. I'd chosen Bradley, chosen my own selfish spark over the man who'd built a life for us. I'd read cheating stories online, shaking my head at the fools who thought they'd get away with it. Now I was one of them, and the shame was a weight I couldn't shake. Morning came grey and unforgiving. I drove to Harbour Point Capital, hoping to find Caleb to beg to explain. His office was locked. His assistant, Jenna, tight-lipped. "He's not here, Lily," she said, her eyes avoiding mine. "Maybe try later." Her tone was clipped, knowing, did she know, had Caleb told her. I left my face hot. The rain soaking my coat. I checked his favourite coffee shop, our park, even his parents' house in the suburbs. Nothing. Caleb had vanished, and with him any chance to fix this. The first twist hit that afternoon. My phone, which Caleb had taken, was still linked to my cloud account. I logged in from my tablet, desperate for a clue, and found a notification my email had been accessed. Not by me. Caleb had seen everything. Not just the photo, but every email to Bradley. Every flirty thread, every lie. My stomach churned as I scrolled through them, each one a nail in my coffin. "Can't wait to see you tonight," Bradley had written last week while Caleb was cooking me dinner. "You make me feel alive." I'd replied, my words now a poison. Caleb hadn't just found proof of my affair, he'd found my heart handed to another man. I texted Bradley, my fingers shaking. "Caleb knows, what do I do?" His reply was cold, "Handle it, I'm not your babysitter." My breath caught Bradley. The man who'd whispered promises in my ear was already pulling away his charm, a facade. I called him, but it went to voicemail. Panic clawed at me. I'd risked everything for him, and now he was a ghost, leaving me to face the fallout alone. The second curveball came that evening. Nora, my best friend, showed up at my door. her face a mix of pity and rage. "Lily, what the hell were you thinking?" she snapped, pushing past me. I froze my throat tight. "You know?" She nodded, her eyes blazing. "Caleb called me, he's a wreck, showed me the emails." I sank onto the couch, my hands covering my face. "I didn't mean for this," I whispered. Nora's voice softened, but only slightly. "You didn't mean to sleep with Bradley, to lie to Caleb's face. You're my friend, Lily, but you screwed up big time." She sat beside me, her silence heavy. "He's not coming back tonight. Maybe not ever." Her words were a blade cutting through my denial. I sobbed, the kind of ugly cry that leaves you empty. Nora stayed, but her comfort felt like a formality. "Why, Lily?" she asked finally. "Caleb's perfect. Why Bradley?" I didn't have an answer. Not a good one. Bradley was a rush, a memory of who I'd been before, bills and routines. But Caleb was my home, and I'd burned it down. I was stupid. I said, my voice raw. I thought I could have both. Nora shook her head. "You can't. And now you've lost everything." She wasn't wrong. The next day, the fallout spread. My sister, Claire Harrington, called, her voice icy. "Caleb sent Mum and Dad your emails. They're disgusted, Lily." "How could you?" I stammered. "It's not what it looks like," but she cut me off. "Don't, we're done." She hung up, and my parents didn't answer my calls. Friends unfollowed me on social media, their silence louder than words. Caleb hadn't just left, he'd exposed me, my affair, a public wound. I checked my accounts expecting support, but found comments. "Cheater disgrace." "My event planning clients cancelled contracts citing personal concerns." "My business. My lifeline was crumbling. I drove to Bradley's loft, desperate for answers, for comfort." He opened the door, his face annoyed. "What are you doing here?" he asked, blocking the entrance. "Caleb knows everything," I said, my voice breaking. "You said you cared about me." He laughed, sharp and cruel. "Cared, Lily. It was fun. You're married. This was never serious." My chest tightened, his words a slap. "You made me think I started," but he cut me off. "You made yourself think, go home." He shut the door, leaving me in the hallway, the rain outside mocking my tears. The third twist came that night. I found a letter slipped under my door, Caleb's handwriting. "Neat but cold, Lily. I'm filing for divorce. You'll hear from my lawyer. Don't contact me." Tucked inside was a USB drive. I plugged it into my tablet, my hands shaking. It was a video security footage from a bar, me and Bradley kissing his hands on me. My smile reckless. Caleb had found it somehow, and now he had proof undeniable. The letter ended with one line: "I deserved better." He was right, and that truth crushed me. I didn't eat, didn't sleep. I called Caleb's office, his friends, even his sister, Megan Jensen, but no one would talk. Megan's voice was steel. "You broke him. Lily, leave him alone." I checked Harbour Point Capital's website. Caleb's bio was gone. He'd stepped back, maybe left the firm entirely. My betrayal hadn't just ended our marriage, it had unravelled his world too. I sat in our kitchen, Finn's head in my lap, the USB drive on the table. The rain had stopped, but the silence was heavier, a storm of my own making. I tried to rebuild. I apologized to clients, begged my parents for forgiveness, but doors stayed shut. Nora checked on me, but her visits grew rare, her patience thin. Bradley blocked my number, his loft empty when I drove by. I was a pariah, my affair. A scarlet letter. I'd read cheating stories, thought I'd be smarter, but I'd been reckless, blind. Caleb's absence was a void, his love, a ghost I'd chased away. The fourth twist hit a week later. A colleague, Sarah, texted me a screenshot, a post on a local forum, anonymous, but unmistakably Caleb's words. She cheated with her ex. I trusted her. Don't make my mistake. The post had hundreds of comments, strangers tearing me apart. My name wasn't there, but it didn't need to be. Portland was small and gossip was fast. My last client dropped me, my business officially dead. I sat in my car, the screenshot glowing, and realized Caleb wasn't just leaving me. He was ensuring I'd feel the weight of my betrayal. I moved out, unable to afford our home alone. A cheap motel became my refuge, its neon sign flickering like my hope. I wrote Caleb letters, dozens, never sent. "I'm sorry, I was weak, I love you." Words couldn't undo the past, but they were all I had. I saw Bradley once at a gas station, his eyes sliding past me like I was nothing. He'd used me, discarded me, and I'd let him. The mirror showed a stranger gaunt hollow, a woman who'd traded love for ashes. Nora's last visit was a warning. Caleb's selling the house. She said, her voice gentle but firm. He's moving Lily out of state, maybe. You need to let go. Let go. I'd lost everything. My husband, my family, my dignity. Letting go felt like surrendering the last piece of who I'd been. I nodded, but inside I was screaming this cheating story wasn't over. Not for me. I'd fallen, but I wasn't done fighting for forgiveness, for redemption for myself. The motel's neon sign buzzed outside my window, its flickering light a cruel mirror to my fractured life. I sat on the lumpy bed, Finn curled at my feet, the unsent letters to Caleb scattered across the threadbare blanket. His words from the letter asterisk, I deserved better asterisk cut deeper each day, a reminder of the cheating story I'd written with my own hands. Bradley's betrayal, my family's rejection, the collapse of my business. It was all my doing, sparked by a single text I should have ignored. Portland streets felt like a maze of judgment, every glance a condemnation. I was Lily Harrington, the woman who'd lost everything, and the weight of my shame was a chain I couldn't break. Days blurred into weeks, the motel's stale air, my only constant. I took a job waitressing at a diner, the kind of place where tips were scarce and the coffee was bitter. My hands, once skilled at crafting elegant events, now balanced trays and scrubbed grease. My co-workers, hardened by life, didn't ask questions, and I didn't offer answers. Finn's soft nudges kept me grounded, his loyalty, a stark contrast to my own failures. I'd check my phone obsessively, hoping for a text from Caleb. A crack in his silence. Nothing came. The divorce papers arrived instead, delivered by a courier who didn't meet my eyes. Caleb's signature was neat. Final, a full stop to our love. The first twist came on a rainy Tuesday. I was wiping down tables when Nora burst into the diner, her face pale. "Lily, you need to see this," she said, thrusting her phone at me. It was a news article, asterisk, local investment firm Harbour Point Capital acquired in multi-million deal, asterisk. Caleb's firm sold to a larger conglomerate. The article mentioned his departure, citing personal reasons, and a quote from him. "It's time for a new chapter, asterisk." My heart sank. Caleb wasn't just leaving me, he was leaving Portland, erasing every trace of our life. Nora touched my arm, her voice soft. "He's gone. Lily moved to Seattle." I heard, "You can't keep chasing him." I nodded, but her words were a knife. Seattle, a new city, a new life without me. I'd driven him to this. My affair with Bradley, a wound too deep to heal. I went back to my shift, my smile mechanical, but inside I was unraveling. That night I sat in my motel room, Finn's head in my lap, and opened my tablet. Caleb's social media was locked, but a mutual friend's post showed him at a Seattle waterfront, smiling faintly, a new skyline behind him. He looked lighter, unburdened. I'd lost him not just as a husband, but as a presence in my world. The realization was a quiet devastation, like rain pooling in a forgotten street. The second curveball hit a week later. My mother, Ellen Harrington, called the first contact since Claire's rejection. Her voice was strained, cautious. "Lily, we need to talk. Can you come to the house?" I hesitated, my pride battered, but drove to my parents' suburban home, Finn, in the back seat. The familiar porch, once a haven, felt foreign. My father, Richard Harrington, sat stone-faced in the living room, my mother beside him, her eyes red. "Caleb sent us a package," she said, sliding a box across the coffee table. Inside were photos, our wedding vacations, moments I'd forgotten, and a letter not in Caleb's hand, but typed anonymous. "She's your daughter. She's broken. Help her, asterisk." I choked back a sob, the photos trembling in my hands. Caleb hadn't written it, but the gesture was his. A final act of kindness or pity. My father's voice was gruff. "We're ashamed, Lily, but you're still our daughter. Stay here, get help, start over." I shook my head. Tears falling, I don't deserve it. My mother reached for me, her touch hesitant. "You don't, but we're offering." I left the box under my arm, Finn's leash tight in my grip. I couldn't go back, not yet. Their forgiveness felt like a debt I couldn't repay. The third twist was sharper, crueler. I was scrolling a local news site, avoiding my own thoughts, when I saw Bradley's face, asterisk, tech exec arrested in fraud probe, asterisk. His startup, the one that funded his loft and our affair, was a front for embezzlement. The article detailed forged contracts, stolen funds, and a trail of lies. Bradley's lies, not mine, but they'd tangled me too. I remembered his smirk, his dismissal when Caleb found out, and realized he'd used me as a distraction, a fling to mask his crimes. My affair hadn't just destroyed my marriage. It had tied me to a criminal, and I'd been too blind to see it. I contacted a lawyer, a woman named Tara Blake, to protect myself. "You're not implicated," she said, reviewing the divorce papers. "Caleb's kept you out of it legally, but Bradley's mess could drag you into court if you're not careful." I nodded, my throat tight. Caleb had shielded me even after everything. Tara's eyes softened. "He's a good man, Lily. You didn't deserve him." I didn't argue. She was right. The confrontation I dreaded came unexpectedly. I was walking Finn in a park, the air crisp with autumn, when I saw Caleb, not in Seattle but here in Portland, standing by a bench, his coat collar up against the wind. My heart stopped, my feet frozen. He saw me, his eyes narrowing, then softening. Just for a moment I approached. Finn wagging, oblivious to the tension. "Caleb," I said, my voice barely audible. "I'm so sorry." He didn't move his face, a mask of pain and resolve. "Why, Lily?" he asked, his voice low. "I gave you everything." Tears stung my eyes, my words choking. I was lonely. Stupid Bradley was a mistake, a lie. I hate myself for it. He looked away, the skyline sharp behind him. "I loved you," he said, past tense, a blade to my heart, "but you chose him. You chose to lie every day." I reached for him, but he stepped back. "I'm here to finalize the house sale," he said. "Then I'm gone." "Don't contact me again." He walked away, Finn whining, the wind carrying my sobs. I didn't chase him, I'd lost that right. But his words stayed a mirror to my failures. I returned to the motel, the photos from my parents' box spread out like a shrine. Our wedding, Caleb's smile, my hand in his. I'd thrown it away for Bradley's empty promises, for a thrill that left me hollow. I wrote another letter, not to Caleb but to myself. Asterisk. "You did this, now fix it." Asterisk. I didn't know how, but I had to try. The final act was quiet. Not the dramatic collapse I'd feared. Bradley's trial made headlines, his charm useless against a jury. He was sentenced to 7 years, his name, a synonym for fraud. My parents opened their door again, cautiously, and I moved in, Finn at my side. I took a job at a non-profit planning community events, a far cry from my old glamour, but honest work. Clients didn't know my past, and I didn't tell them. My business was gone, my reputation scarred, but I was alive, rebuilding one small step at a time. Nora visited, her friendship a lifeline. "You're not the same, Lily," she said, sipping tea in my parents' kitchen. "You're stronger." Maybe I didn't feel strong, but I nodded, grateful for her faith. Caleb's absence was a constant ache, his new life in Seattle, a world I'd never touch. I heard he'd started a new firm, smaller, focused on ethical investing. He was healing. Moving forward while I was still picking up my pieces. Months later, I found a package at my parents' door. No sender inside was a single photo, me and Caleb laughing at a farmer's market. Our dog Finn, a puppy, at our feet. On the back, in Caleb's handwriting, asterisk, "You were my home, be better," asterisk. No signature, no address, just a farewell. I held it. Tears falling, the kitchen clock ticking softly. I'd lost him, but his words were a challenge, a spark. I framed the photo not as a shrine, but as a reminder. Mistakes don't define you, but they shape you. I stood in my parents' backyard, the stars bright above Finn chasing fireflies. I'd fallen, betrayed the man I loved, and paid a price steeper than I'd imagined. But I was here, breathing, trying. The question lingered sharp as the night air. Could I ever forgive myself, or was my redemption just another lie I told myself? What would you do if you'd lost it all to a moment of weakness? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button and subscribe to Viora for more stories that rip your heart open and make you think. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's next.